All right, we're here. I'm Michael Cawthon joining the Lincoln County Sports here. We're getting ready for basketball season once again. The 2015-2016 is getting ready to get underway. Matter of fact, preseason games done been happening. And we're joined now by Coach Tibbs. And, Coach, we're coming into another long season, great season coming up, and a lot of fresh faces, a lot of stuff to talk about here today. So let's just right out of the gate, let's talk a little bit about our personnel. Who's on our roster this year, and primarily out of the gate, who's returning?
Right. Well, we do have a lot of new faces. Like you said, we got 24 kids, and 13 of those are freshmen. Then we got a new kid that's a senior, not new to Lincoln County, but Eli Eason, who played football for the last couple of years and made the team as a sophomore, but then got injured in football, so he hasn't been able to play high school basketball yet. But this is his first year. But our returning guys are guys like Eli Slayton, a senior, who's going to play a lot of big minutes for us. I think one of our better defenders, and really worked on the shot over the summer, and has been shooting the ball really well. And then you got guys like Zacchaeus Tate, who's a really dynamic guard, I think, and he's going to be able to make some plays for us. And Alex Szynski and Seth Berarelli, both those guys are big guys, and they played a lot of basketball last year. And then you even got a guy like Kyle Clem, who's still young as a sophomore, but he's looking for him to have a good year at point guard for us, and played some last year as a freshman. So those are our main guys we have coming back.
And we talked earlier, you got your seniors and your sophomores and juniors, but you also talked about right off the bench, we're coming freshmen. So talk a little bit about those coming up.
Right. Well, I'll just go ahead, if you don't mind, just mention all of our freshmen, and we'll go from there, I guess. But our freshman point guard is Brian Alford. He played pretty successfully, had a good career at Highland Rim for the last 3 years, but he's an incoming freshman, and he'll be playing off the bench quite a bit for us with the varsity early on in the season especially. And then Cooper Moran from the Blanche area is a freshman post player. Austin Mann is a freshman guard from the Flintville area. He's been working pretty hard. He's a pretty good guard as far as a pretty athletic kid. Logan Davis is a freshman from the Highland Rim area. Christian Counts is a power forward type guy. He's a little bit undersized, but he's pretty athletic, and he's also a freshman. Jonathan Carpenter and Holt Richardson, both those guys played at Highland Rim last year, and Holt's a kid that I think early on this year will get some varsity minutes, and he's had some pretty good practices, and I think he's got a good future here for us in Lincoln County. Reese McDowell's from out the Unity area. He's also a point guard, played out there for Coach Browning at Unity. And Caleb Troutman's also from Highland Rim. Pretty athletic wing player, does a good job. Cole Hamlin is a freshman shooting guard, also played at Flintville. Caleb Clark is from South Lincoln, and a pretty athletic kid. He kind of plays the wing and the power forward spot a little bit. And then Devin Gifford is going to dress out some for us early in the year, and he's from Flintville, athletic, kind of point guard slash two guard for us. And then Samuel Lehman is a post player from Unity area that's he's pretty tall and pretty lanky, but and kind of raw. But I think he's got a chance to be a pretty good player for us. That's our 13 freshmen.
13 freshmen, that's a lot. But once again, it gives you a lot of depth. Some things that sometimes struggle with in early part of years.
Right, you do. And since we still have a decent amount of inexperience, I think that our depth is not developed where we'd like for it to be. But those guys, in addition to some of the sophomores and juniors, have a chance to, because of the competition level, because they're all competing, and there's so many numbers that the competition is going to make it better. So those guys are competing, and they understand they're competing to dress for the varsity. They're competing to play for the varsity, and they all understand, I think, that it's a long road for them to, it's not a sprint, it's a marathon, and they've got some time to get better. But the quicker they get better, the better off we're all going to be. But you're right, depth is a big thing, especially in a 26, 27 game season. You never know who's going to be injured. You never know who's going to be sick. So the more guys you got that can play varsity basketball, the better off we're going to be.
As you mentioned, injured and sick, you mentioned a while ago, we got a few already that are going to be limping going into the first game. So.
Right. And we play, as we're filming this, we play our first game tomorrow night. And mentioned Kyle Clem earlier as a point guard. He got nicked up a little bit earlier in practice today with a back issue. And then we've got Noah Sapak that's been out for the last 3 or 4 days. And he rolled his ankle, so we're going to try to get him in a little bit tomorrow night, but he's not completely healthy. And we've got Ryan Hall has been sick over the weekend, so that's just a fine example of having 3 guys out in any one game. Obviously affects you quite a bit. So the more guys you have that are ready to step in and play varsity basketball, the less you'll feel the impact of injuries and sickness and things like that.
We got all this, and now we move into our schedule a little bit. We start out right out of the gate with Summit, Forest, and Oakland for your first few games, and we even mentioned Summit, one of those predicted to be, go further into the state games. So, pretty tough schedule out of the gate to get you ready for the late season.
Right, you're right. Summit, obviously, trying to do some scouting reports on them before we play them tomorrow night, and everyone I've talked to up in the Franklin area, the other coaches have all told me that Summit's probably going to win their district this year, and that's one of the top 3 or 4 districts in the state out of the 16 AAA districts, and their district champion last year was Brentwood, who finished in the semifinals of the state, and the year before that finished in the finals. So their district champions in the past have been pretty good, and if Summit is up to Brentwood's caliber at the last few years, then we're going to have a pretty good test out of the gate, and then we come back and play a home game against Forest, which will be our first home game on Thursday night. And traditionally, they've had a pretty strong basketball program. I know the girls, especially lately, have been pretty successful, and we'd like for everybody that can come out to see that one. And then next week during Thanksgiving break, we play Oakland, and anybody that's been around the Murfreesboro area and playing basketball, anybody you play up there is going to be good. And last year they had a pretty big team as far as a lot of guys 6'5", 6'6", 6'7". So and the reason you play those early games are so that whenever you get into district play, which our first district game is at Lawrenceburg, and then our next district game before Christmas is here against Columbia. Both those teams are probably going to be 2 of the top 3 or 4 teams in our district, so that's why you play the Summits and the Oaklands and all those type teams, so that you can get ready to play the district games. Because the district games in basketball and ones who obviously are really, really important, because everybody's going to get to go to the district tournament. You just want to go to the tournament, seed it as well as you can, and that's all dependent upon how you do in the district regular season. So we want to be ready, before we play Summit, but we really got to use those games in the early season to get ready to play the district games.
Without a doubt. As you mentioned, we were talking about district play and running into some of those teams. How does it look like the matchups going towards that play? Who is kind of rising to the top early, or who's prospective?
Lawrence County and Columbia, as I mentioned, are obviously going to be, they're traditionally some of the better teams in our district. Then you got the team just right down the road, Franklin County, who lost a few players from last year, but they've got a really young athletic group of kids coming up that are sophomores and juniors this year. And a lot of them don't have a lot of experience, but from what I saw last year when I got to see them play, I don't think they're going to have a drop off, and they've got a couple of guys over there who do a good job coaching them, so I'm sure they're going to be pretty good. And then Chevyville, again, they lost some pretty athletic kids, but they're kind of just reloading. They're just bringing some more kids in who are athletic, and they played a lot. And then Tullahoma and Coffee, the last couple of years they've struggled a little bit, but I think they're going to be better from what I've heard and what I've seen over the summer. I think they've got a lot of kids returning, so I think it's going to be pretty balanced, which is good news in the fact that anybody can beat anybody. Yeah. I think we'll be able to beat anybody in our district schedule, but it's also bad news because you never get an easy game. So we need to be ready to play in the district schedule.
Without doubt, you doing this over the years, and obviously that you see some rise, some settle, but it all plans out at the end come district tournament time on who's ready to play.
It does, and we want to play well early in the year, but the main thing is, especially because we're pretty young. We've got 3 of our top 6 guards right now are either sophomores or freshmen. And then we've got 4 post players that really rotate in there, and one of those has never played high school basketball. So tomorrow night we're going to dress out 13, and 6 of those have never even dressed out in a high school game. So it's common sense that we're probably not going to be as good early in the year as we are hopefully going to be later in the year. So we just got to take every step and every practice, just come back and get better. And I think we do have the ability and the talent to go to a Summit and beat them. It's just consistency and how consistent you are whenever you go and play, and of course consistency improves the more you have focused practice, and repetitions, you'll get more consistent. So we're probably going to get more consistent at how well we play later in the year. We want to play well tomorrow night, but it's going to be a long process, and I think by the end of the year, or maybe even by halfway through the year, I think we're going to be a whole lot better than we are right now. And I think we've got a pretty decent team right now, but I'm looking forward to, wish we could fast forward about 5 or 6 weeks and see what we got whenever that time comes.
If Coach had that little fast forward rewind button, sometimes be nice.
That would be nice. Before we get out of here, I'd like to mention our sophomores and juniors, and I'm not sure I mentioned all of our seniors, but I did mention Kyle Clem, who's a sophomore point guard, and then Ruslan Gaines, who's also a sophomore post player, Cyrus Blackwell, a sophomore post player, and then Taylor Glaggard, and I didn't even mention him earlier being injured, but he's been injured about 6 or 7 weeks now with an ankle deal. He's about a week or 2 away from coming back, and he's a kid that during the summer was in our top couple of rotations. So that's just another one that I'm kind of used to it by now. So but I think he'll have a chance to help us this year. And then we go into our juniors: Noah Sapak, who I mentioned earlier, Seth Bertarelli, Alex Lazinski, and Zakiah Tate. That we only have 4 juniors, but those juniors have been pretty productive here so far. And then our seniors: Ryan Hall, who I think I mentioned earlier is a returning player who's played quite a bit. He's actually our most experienced player. Yes. He played a lot as a sophomore and then played a lot last year as a junior, and then now as a senior. And then Eli Eason, who I mentioned, and then, of course, Eli Slayton, who I mentioned. So that's our group of 24 kids. And like I said, I think we've got a good year coming up. We probably will take some bumps and bruises early, but I think we've got the right kind of kids, and I've been pleased with our practices overall. I think we've got a toughness about us that we're trying to develop, and I do know that our kids are probably just because of their ages, it's a little bit closer knit team than we've had the last year or two, and sometimes that helps a lot. So I'm looking forward to it.
Tell us a little bit about your coaches before we head out of here. Who's going to be helping you along the way and putting up with you?
Right. Well, with 24 guys, it's definitely not a one-man show as far as the coaches go. Matt Prince has been the assistant coach up here for a couple of years now. He does a really good job. Specifically, he works with the guards and does a good job with those guys. And then Coach Horton, Sherry Horton from in the past with NJ's basketball team. She's, now that we've got all the freshmen, everyone together, she does a great job with those JV guys, and JV guys meaning some sophomores and then mostly all freshmen. And usually every practice we're able to divide up the practice a little bit. So she's got typically the guys who are going to play mainly JV for 20 or 30 minutes or whatever it might be that day, depending on how practice is going. And then so we're all busy in there for every day for a couple hours, and there's really not a lot of downtime if you're the coach. So or if you're a coach, and our kids do a good job of staying into it and responding to each of us. So our coaches do a really good job, and I'm glad you mentioned them because I couldn't do anything without them.
I understand that. Sometimes it's people you don't see all the time that makes a world of difference.
Exactly right.
All right, as we mentioned, our district schedule, we're getting ready. When do we lead up into that? I know we start just right before the Christmas break, usually with our district schedule. So hit us up on that.
You can tell we're about to play somebody else tomorrow night.
Yes.
I know the dates, but we play. I knew we play two district games before Christmas, and then the other 10 games we play after Christmas. But the first one is December the 4th at Lawrence County, and that's always, to me, it's a fun place to go play because their whole community's into basketball and their student body does a good job. Sometimes if you're a little bit, I guess as a player, weak-minded, sometimes it gets in your head a little bit. But and like I said earlier, Lawrence County is one of the better teams we'll play. So it's out on the road, and I know here at the high school, our Pumpkinhead student spirit group, they're going to try to have a pet bus for that game.
Great.
So that'd be great to take a bunch of guys up with a bunch of boys and girls over there to support our basketball teams. And then our first home district game is December the 11th versus Columbia, which is, again, as I mentioned, they're going to be a really good basketball team and pretty athletic, and both those games ought to be two pretty good games.
Well, all right, Coach, we appreciate it. Getting ready for a great season. We're looking forward to it. Hope everybody comes out, supports, and we'll be looking forward to it.
All right, thank you.
Appreciate it, Coach.
I appreciate it.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, we're here now getting ready once again for Lady Falcon basketball. The season is upon us, the 2015-2016 season, and we're joined by Coach Herman Harden. And Coach, we're getting ready once again. All the prelims are done, the preseason stuff's done, and season's getting ready to start. Let's talk a little bit about, first of all, who you're bringing back as your senior staff, your leadership of your group, and then we'll kind of run down the rest of them.
Okay, I have 6 seniors. 2 of them are hurt right now. Brianna Sanders is out with an ACL. She'll be out till sometime after Christmas. Chelsea Gatlin dislocated an elbow in practice the other day, and we'll get the word on her tomorrow. Returning players that we look for a lot out of as the seniors is McKinley Fitch. McKinley played the 1 for us last year, the point guard. She has slid over to play the 2. It was a change that we made late in the summer and really liked how she fit in that role. It actually puts her on the ball defensively more, which is a strength of hers, and then she can still got point guard skills out and leading the press break and things. So she's fitted real well into that. Lily Foster is back healthy this year, and she's doing a good job, and she's going to put pressure on the ball, knows how to play. Excited about getting to see her get back in the mix this year. Bethany Lehman was hurt a lot last
Yeah.
year with a groin, and hopefully, knock on wood, that we can kind of keep her healthy. If she stays healthy, she's a difference maker.
Yes.
She really does a great job of going to the glass, got a really good, nice jump shot, worked hard on her defense, and she's just a great rebounder, just overall really good player, shooting the ball well from the perimeter. So if she can stay healthy, that she'll be a big part of the mix. And then it seems like the senior group, we're talking about health all the time. And the sixth one is Samantha Williams, and she's had on and off knee problems for quite a while. Right now, she seems to be healthy. She played this weekend and did well this weekend. So if she can stay healthy, it really gives us an offensive score in the paint, and she's got to do. She's got to do her part and keep doing her part of getting in shape and things like that. But she's worked really hard to get herself to this point, and so we're excited about all those seniors.
All the senior staff, and like I said, a lot of minutes coming out of those, but injuries was a little plain. So getting them back in the mix this year, getting them rolling, be interesting to see how it starts right out of the gate. Yeah,
and it's going to be with the rule changes or the emphasis on the rules of the hand check rules and the
Yes.
thing. It's going to foul trouble could really come into play a lot, but it's actually one of the things that our team should be okay with because we do have quite a bit of depth. We're going to play 8 to 10 kids a night, and and we'll see how it goes as it goes on. And we get Bree and Chelsea back, so we do have quite a bit of depth.
Let's talk a little bit more about some of those sophomores and juniors that's going to be filling your charts, Wes, and carrying a lot of minutes just as well.
Yeah, Brooke Ferguson is a junior, and she's going to start at the point guard, and that's a big change, for her this year. We made that change the last Shelbyville camp in the summer.
Yeah.
And she's done a good job with it. She keeps her head up well, and like I said, it allows Mac to use some of her other skills that are McKinley Fitch, some of her other skills. And so Brooke is going to play there. Cardi Fee, who's going to bring her winning attitude from soccer onto our basketball team, is going to play some point guard also. And what Cardi brings to the mix on that is she's not, after watching her play soccer, she's not bothered by people in her space a lot.
Yeah.
So so she's had a good off season and things. And then Lauren Bradley's another junior that will come in and rest Sam, and as Sam gets in shape, and then Lauren is improving every day. And I can teach a lot of things, but I can't teach 6'1".
Oh yeah.
And she's a lot more confident with the ball this year. She did a really good job rebounding and passing out of the post, and starting to score some too. So with the teams in our district that have big kids, and then we play Oakland twice with big kids and things, it's really important for her and Sam to be able to defend the other team's post. So looking for that. The sophomore groups, we only had 3 of the juniors, and sophomore groups, I guess you got to start with Sloan. Sloan Mann, she was all district last year in AAA as a freshman. One of the hardest working kids. This is a hard working group, and Sloan's one of the hardest working kids that I've ever seen. She really stays in the gym, works hard. She's got a chance of being really something special. Shoots the ball well. She's a lot like Bethany Lehman. That she goes to the glass. She's got a nice jump shot. There's things that she's got to do to get better. She's got to get better at handling the ball and passing the ball and things like that, and trusting that. But she's doing really well. Brianna Faulkner won't start tomorrow night's game, but she's like a starter and things. She started quite a bit, some of the preseason stuff with us. Started some this summer, and started a lot of games last year when Bethany went down. So her and Sloan are the two most experienced sophomores that I have, and their game is similar a little bit. Bree is a really good she sees the floor really well. Nice passer, good rebounder, working on her outside shot. She's got a nice up and under move. So I look for her to do a really good job, for us. Emily Ogle is the other kid that's up on the varsity all the time, and Em is shooting the ball really, really well. As she acclimates to the speed of the game, she's going to get better and better and better. She's got to get a little bit stronger. All of them do, as some of the young kids have got to get stronger. Shayla Castillo, Hannah Brazier, I'm getting mixed up here, and Reagan Donovan and Allie Sandler. And those four kids, this is one of the changes that we make. It's one of the really good things about the NGA change, that it not only allows the freshmen to come in and get involved with the high school a year earlier, it gives those sophomores an extra 16 games to play. But Hannah's playing really well, shooting the ball well. Shayla is doing a good job. Reagan and Allie both. Allie's going to have to make a position change. She played the 4 for us last year. She's going to step out and play the guard. But with them, along with we've got 7 freshmen. So and they're all doing really well too. So.
A lot of depth there down the way with the freshman stuff coming up, so it gives a lot of potential for coming forward. Having all that amount that's all under the same system gives a lot of hope for the future of this basketball team.
Well, it really does. When you look through the county system, there's a lot of young talent along with this freshman, but there's a lot of athletic talent. The freshman bunch have all got kids that can really run. Got 2 kids off the soccer team that started as a freshman, so it's I'm excited about the opportunity to work with them, and I guess this is where I can bring in about some of the coaching staff that I have. Coach Pat Cavender is an assistant at with my varsity, and she just does a tremendous job with the kids, and she's very, very fundamental oriented and works with them every day. Give her the set of kids every day for her to work fundamentals with, and she's doing a great job of that. And then just in she's a great person to bounce ideas off of. She knows the game really well, so that's worked out really well. Debbie Perry is the new JV coach, and boy, you talk about somebody totally bought in to doing her job. She's been a real joy and a pleasure to work with. She worked all summer with those kids, and then she's here every day and is always asking if she can do more. What can she do to help? So and they've improved a lot from watching them this summer and the hard work that they've all put in. It just helps the program not only this year but for years to come. So we're excited about having her on board.
All right, that sounds great. Now we kind of gear up for our schedule, and a lot of people ask, why do you play some of the tough games that you do out of the gate with early season? Traveling to Murfreesboro with Oakland, and I understand it, but maybe some of those that don't. Explain a little bit why the early season, some rougher games in there.
Well, you can only hide so long, and stuff, and eventually you need a measuring point and things. And if you, I don't know, I've just always been under the philosophy that you don't run from anybody, and I don't want my team to feel like that we're going to run from anybody. They're a really good team. We played them this summer and things. We played them twice last year. Didn't do very well against them. But we have the opportunity to improve more than they have the opportunity to. And it's a lot about belief. And I expect those kids, when there's not anybody. There's 2 or 3 teams on our schedule that we should know going in that we should win.
Yep.
But everybody on our schedule is really, really good, and so we're going to have to play, and part of it too. Sometimes you think about sometimes the girls' side. The girls' team may be really good, and the boys' team may not be very good, and the other
vice versa.
and vice versa. So you schedule teams that you think is going to help your program and stuff. And I don't want the first time that I see a Murfreesboro team to be in the region.
Exactly.
I want to have already seen them.
Exactly. And, we talked with Tibbs earlier, talking about you try to pick some teams that kind of match up with some of the teams you're looking to face in your own district play.
Exactly. And, and there's some, like playing teams like Forest and Community, and when we played Moore County, part of the things about playing teams is playing teams that match up a little bit like that, but also that will bring people.
Yeah.
Now Oakland's not going to bring people, but you get Forest and you get Community.
Yep.
And when we had Moore County on the schedule, I mean, that was always a big game and things like that. And we're trying to get more involved with the Summit on the schedule. I talked to Franklin's coach this past weekend and things that we can start getting some of those teams involved in, because it's hard to get a lot of teams down here. We've kind of got away from the Alabama teams a little bit this year, and which is probably a good thing, and things, and get more involved in the teams up here.
Without a doubt. All right, we look at our schedule. We're getting ready. Of course, a lot of these teams mean a lot, but the heart of the meat of the season talks about district play. Gearing up for first one, December 4th against Lawrence County, and traveling at that. So let's just start there and kind of size up our district this year.
Yeah, well, going to Lawrence County, you're playing against the probably one of the top favorites in the district. The good news about playing them before Christmas is that at their place is that you won't have to have the big kahuna night.
There you go.
Later on and stuff at their place. But I have a ton of respect for them and the way they do things down there. Their student section is great.
Yes.
The administration really supports the program. Excited about getting Bill Heath over here as the superintendent. He's been always big supporter. I've seen him at a lot of their games and things, so I'm excited about that. He's the Lawrenceburg coaches do a really good job, and so they've got guards. They're a really guard-oriented team. Shelbyville is got nearly everybody back. They lost one kid or a couple of kids, but the point guard that played the shooting guard last year she was a freshman last year. She's a sophomore. She can shoot it, but they've got the 2 big kids. Yeah. That's why Lauren and Sam is really going to be important that they come on and be able to play against, because Shelbyville's got 2 kids that are 6'1" or close to it.
Yeah.
Franklin County will be pretty good. They didn't lose anybody from last year. I don't know much about Tullahoma. They kind of went, and we didn't see them much this summer.
Gotcha.
Coffee County, I've seen them a couple times. If we play and we improve at the level that we improve, we can beat anybody in our district. If we if we don't take care of business, then anybody can beat us. But like the district player of the year that was at Columbia last year, she's moved on and went to college, and I can't remember which college she went to now. But Timmons went on and she's gone. So Columbia is probably down just a little bit from where they were. But you have to play every night in this district.
All right, we mentioned all the district games. We're getting everything down, and it all hinges around trying to get to that district tournament and placing high. What goals, aspirations do you look for this first early season to prepare for that grunge match coming in February?
You really want to play well during the regular season district, because in our district, the way it's set up, whoever finishes first or second
Yep.
gets a first round bye.
Yep.
Well, with that first round bye also comes an automatic berth to the region. And so if you're one or two, if you're one, you're playing the winner between like 4 and 5.
Yeah.
And if you're two, you're playing the winner between 3 and 6. And so it's a real. I mean, it's going to be a battle, and it's probably a 3 or 4 team battle to get in for those 2 spots. So getting off to a good early start and going to Lawrenceburg and getting a win on the road there would be huge and stuff. And going into Christmas 2-0, and hopefully, as we'll have Bree Sanders back by that time, and Chelsea and everybody else stay healthy. We could be playing at a pretty high level by that time.
You mentioned staying healthy. Like I said last year, a lot of injuries, especially late season, makes it tough playing in that long stretch of district tournament.
It does, and that's where me and Coach Cavender have to do a really good job of managing our depth and being able to get some people some rest and some time and managing practices where their body has a time to recover and things. So hopefully we'll be able to do that.
Well, our coach is getting ready for a long season. It starts tomorrow. Of course, obviously traveling to Summit. And then, of course, our first home game right back here against Forest on the 19th. Looking forward to a great crowd. I hope everyone comes out and supports the team, as I know y'all are looking forward to that. It fuels the kids, gets them ready to go. So I know y'all are excited.
Well, we are. We're excited to have you back, Michael.
It's good to be back.
It's going to be fun.
Oh, yeah, Coach. Appreciate it, Coach Hart.
Thank you.
All right.